And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Donny Nadeau, the Sports Information Director for the Cardinals. Back this week with another Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching. And Donny, later on in the program, we'll talk track and field. They've had some very nice outdoor running weather as the outdoor season has started for head coach Shawn McMahon. We'll have him on the program a little bit later, except I guess for this upcoming weekend where it's supposed to get a little chilly and maybe even a few flurries.
Yeah, maybe he'll wish they go back to the indoor season this weekend with the forecast that they have. But yeah, the outdoor season has gotten off to a great start for them, and obviously the indoor season finished very well too with the MIC championships and then Andrew Brigham making it to the NCAAs. So we got a lot of track to talk about, and Shawn can't remember what he talked about the first time he was here, so we can start all over with him.
Yeah,
so.
we can recite. We can be environmentally friendly and recycle questions, right? His throwers are doing well. We'll talk about that when Shawn comes on. The throwers, at least one thrower in particular, doing pretty well for St. Mary's baseball, and that's Chris Bogey. And Donnie, this past week in St. Mary's baseball, since last Wednesday, our last taping here of the Cardinals Nest, they've done very well. They have either swept or split most of their series, except for their last one when they lost a doubleheader to Concordia. But by and large, Nick Winicki's team is starting to pick up some steam now.
Absolutely. And when you talk about pitchers doing well, you mentioned Chris Bogey, and in that same voice, you got to say Andrew Ruff is pitching very well too. He pitched the first game against Concordia on Tuesday and was a tough luck 5-0 loser. Gave up 7 hits and pitched a complete game. That's his third complete game of the season. And when you can get your pitchers to pitch all 7 innings of a game, obviously for Coach Winicki, that's what you want. The problem with Andrew on Tuesday was he gave up one pitch with the bases loaded that it probably is still flying right now, and resulted in 4 of the Cobbers' 5 runs in that 5-0 loss. So right now the problem with the baseball team is consistency. When the pitching is good, like they had Tuesday in Game 1, the hitting isn't so good. They had 3 hits against the Cobbers in that game. When the hitting comes on and they scored 4 quick runs in that Game 2, the pitching struggles a little bit, and they gave up 11 straight runs in a 12-4 loss. So Coach Winicki's looking for a little more consistency from his team right now, and unfortunately, that's probably been the problem. If you look at their last 3 doubleheaders before the Concordia one, is they would lose the first game, then turn around and they'd win the second game, and that was a very good positive for Nick in that he knew that his team was able to put aside the first game and get ready for the second. But against Concordia, it was one of those things where the pitching was good one game, the hitting wasn't. The hitting was good the second game, the pitching wasn't, and they need to definitely get some more consistency.
Right. No better example of that than last Wednesday when they took on Carleton. They lost the first game of the doubleheader 1-0, a game I'm sure they'd love to have back, as they weren't able to convert on some chances in that one. And then, though, the second game they come back with an 11-6 victory. So again, hitting not there one game, is there the second game.
Yeah, it's another perfect example of what they're battling right now, and they need to get that consistency. They need to convert on the chances that they had. They only had 3 hits in the first game on Tuesday against Concordia, but in all 3 of those, in 2 of those, the pitcher only ended up facing three batters in the inning. Right. One got caught stealing, and then one actually got picked off a second. So they're not converting on the chances that they have. They need to put some timely hits together. Right now they're getting the hits, but they're not stringing enough of them together, and that's the problem. Vince Lulick had a double in that first game against Concordia and was stranded at second base. With 1 out, he's on second, and he doesn't move for the rest of the inning. And those are the kind of things that they need to do. As Coach Winicki likes to say, they've got to move the baseball better. They've got to be able to make things happen, create opportunities. When their pitching is on, they've got to be able to score some runs for those pitchers, because it's unfortunate for Andrew that he didn't get the win, or at least get a better decision than a 5-0 loss, because he pitched very well, only giving up 7 hits. Unfortunately, like I said, that one hit was a grand slam home run in the 3rd inning.
Last weekend against Finlandia, that was the series that the Cardinals swept, winning 14-1 in the first game, 5-1 in the second game, and getting a terrific pitching performance out of Luke Larson, who had struggled up until that game against Finlandia.
Yeah, he and Teddy Van Rans both pitched complete games in that series. Very important for those two, because they had been struggling a little bit on the mound, and it was good to see them do a good job there. And obviously that was one of those series where they were able to put a little bit together, scoring 19 runs. Unfortunately, Finlandia MIAC opponents, they're two different things, and
Right, right.
Finlandia isn't quite in that same category. So I know that Coach Winicki's got a busy rest of April coming up, and some very big games, and there's still a lot of baseball to be played, and that begins this weekend at Augsburg, and if they can come up with 2 wins there, all of a sudden they're 4-6 in the conference, and it's a whole new ball game. So there's a lot of baseball to be played, and a lot can still happen before the middle of May when they get into the baseball MIAC tournament. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Right, the Cardinals now 2-6 in the conference and 8-16 overall, and so every year that Coach Winicki has been here, that record has gone up, and it looks like that's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, and they just got to continue to play, and I like Coach Winicki's statement of they got to just leave the bricks behind, and then he talks about those losses, put the bricks behind, and get ready to go in the next game or the next day, and that's what they've got to do right now. They were a little disappointed in the 2 losses to Concordia, but on Saturday they're back in action, and they head to Augsburg, and it's 2 more games that they've got to play. So they can't afford to be thinking about what happened in the past. They need to focus on the present and the future, and one of the things they've got to do is just be consistent and get that offense going. And obviously the pitching is going to be there. It's just that they've got to get that offense going.
Donnie, the softball team has lost 4 straight games, but going back to a doubleheader matchup in Winona against McAllister, a very impressive performance by the Cardinals as they won by the scores of 8-1 and 9-1, really handing it to the Scots in that doubleheader matchup. Since then, though, they've been on a bit of a slide.
Yeah, it was a tough 2 losses to Bethel last Saturday, and then they were swept by Luther on Sunday. Luther's an outstanding team, ranked number 11 in the nation, so it's one of those that you feel bad, but you look at the opponent and you say, okay, absolutely. The problem being is those 2 losses the day before to Bethel are certainly ones that Coach Miller would like to have back. They didn't play very well. The pitching wasn't there. Mallory Betzold and Angie Bates and Caleb Peterson doing a great job all season long. They struggled a little bit from the mound on Saturday, and it hurt them. And obviously, that's something that they need. They need those 3 to be continue to be consistent and continue to pitch well, and hopefully the offense can continue to go. And when you talk about the St. Mary's offense, you have to talk about the play of Katie Gannon last week. Katie was the co-MIAC Player of the Week. She went a 4-game span between St. Olaf and McAllister, where she hit a home run in every single game of those 4 games. Missed one in the first game against Bethel, then turned around and had another home run in game 2 against Bethel. So she had 5 home runs in 6 games. A 1,000 slugging percentage. She drove in 11 runs, scored 7 times. It was a great week for her and a much deserved MIAC Player of the Week honor. But I'm still not a big fan of Katie's right now, so we're going to have a little chat.
Well, yeah, and the reason for that is she indicated to Donnie, who was doing a little profile for her, that one thing she fears is bald men. So that's why Donnie is not so much a fan of Katie Gannon. But she did win Softball Player of the Week in the MIAC, so congratulations to Katie there. Now, of course, conference play continues this upcoming weekend, Donnie, and I believe it's this upcoming weekend where they have a Breast Cancer Awareness Day as well.
Yep, on Sunday. The men actually finished theirs. They did a strikeout prostate cancer last Saturday in their doubleheader, and now the women are going to do breast cancer awareness. And it's always, anytime that the teams can try and raise some funds for these outstanding causes, it's good to see. And I think that what the Cardinals need to remember is they put that's secondary to to the games that they've got to play. They've got 4 big games this weekend, 2 against Hamlin on Saturday and then 2 against Concordia on Sunday. It's a very important weekend for them as we really start to look at conference standings and the MIAC tournament picture. And I know that Coach Miller is going to hopefully, as we're taping, they're heading up to Augsburg to play 2 games there. So hopefully when we're talking next week, we're talking about 6 wins, which is certainly, with this team, they can beat anybody. They have the offensive power to beat anybody, and hopefully we're talking about 6 wins. Very big week for them this week.
Yeah, the problem with softball is that only 4 teams make the conference tournament. And just like all of the other sports, the MIAC, one of the better Division III conferences for softball and in the nation, really. So, they really, every single game counts. You have to win the games you should win, and then you have to pull an upset or 2 to be one of those 4 teams.
Absolutely, and the problem you have in the MIAC is there's no teams that you can look at on your schedule anymore and say, this is a game, these are 2 games we're going to win. You have to come with your best game, and you have to play to the best of your ability every single game, or you're going to get beat. And I think that the Bethel games are a great example. Bethel is one of those, probably 3, 4, 5 type teams in the conference standings, and they're very good, but they're also very beatable. And Bethel had the best of St. Mary's, and now that means that St. Mary's is going to have to turn around and do that to somebody else. And hopefully, Augsburg is another one of those teams that they play on Wednesday as we're taping, that it's one of those teams that we're very, very similar to. Records are very equal, and it's one of those that you really need. They need it. It's a very important week for them, especially as we start looking to conference tournament.
All right, so it should be an exciting weekend for St. Mary's softball. Last week here on the Cardinals Nest, we had tennis coach Jeff Hallberg on, along with Bailey Edwards, his #1 women's singles player, and we were hoping some good luck. The traditional Cardinals Nest good luck would rub off on Jeff and Bailey. Unfortunately, well, it did for Bailey, but not so much for Jeff, as the Cardinals lost a pair, both men's and women's. Tough matchups against McAllister. Could have gone either way. McAllister comes out with the victory 5-4 on both the women's and men's side of things, but Bailey Edwards in that singles, #1 singles women's matchup, that was a marathon that Bailey did end up pulling out against McAllister.
Yeah, she won the third set 12-10. It was an absolute marathon. And Bailey she's an outstanding player, and she just keeps winning. Now the unfortunate part, I talked to Coach Hallberg before we taped, and he mentioned that Bailey had hurt her hand. She had fallen down in the rain and hurt her left hand. Now he's not even sure that she's going to be able to play this weekend. So maybe our luck of having athletes on and then them succeeding is run its course. But Bailey is an outstanding player, and it was actually, I told Jeff it was great to have her on, because it was nice to get a little background on her, because she has been doing so well, and she's now the record holder in career wins in singles and in doubles. She's also the singles leader in wins there. So she's had a great career, and hopefully it'll continue. Hopefully this injury won't keep her out. But those losses to McAllister were tough, and I really feel for Coach Hallberg, because on the men's side now, that's 2 straight matches that they've lost 5-4, with the majority of the singles matches going 3 sets and the doubles matches going to where it easily could have been a win or a loss, and that's tough on a coach. You get those heartbreaking losses, and for him to now have, in the last 3 matches that he's actually coached, men have lost twice 5-4, and the women have lost once 5-4. So it's a tough time for Coach Hallberg.
Well, it's especially difficult for the men, because they have yet to win a conference match that could have been one that they had, but they're certainly playing better. And some of the guys, Tim Wolford, Sam Puff, Bobby Steingraber, they are definitely picking up their game.
Absolutely. And the nice thing, all the names that you listed there, and you add Mike Lunka to that, they're all underclassmen. So this is really, Jeff has laid that seed. He's got a great nucleus here. They're playing some very good tennis, and if you look at their results over the past couple of weeks, you've got 3 5-4 losses. You've got a couple 6-3 losses in there. So all the matches are very competitive. They just need that ball to bounce their way. And I know that's a cliche, but if you look at the matches they've played, it really is a bounce here or there that's decided those matches. And the nice thing for Coach Hallberg is he's got a lot of underclassmen on both the men's and the women's side. So hopefully they can survive this downswing right here that they're in right now, and maybe pick up a couple wins as the season winds down, and get ready for next year, because they've got a lot of young, talented individuals, and hopefully they'll be able to pick it up next year and maybe climb that ladder a little bit.
Well, both teams have done well against non-conference opponents, and that's who they have this weekend. The men taking on Northwestern, and the women going to River Falls and Stevens Point.
Yeah, so it's a good weekend. They step out of conference. The men on Friday here at home against Northwestern. Then the women head to River Falls to take on Stevens Point, and then River Falls in a triangular. And then they go back to conference action on Sunday, both up in the St. Cloud area, with the men playing St. John's and the women playing St. Benedict. So a very busy weekend of tennis for the Cardinals and Coach Hallberg, and hopefully by next week we're talking about a lot of wins. A lot of it weather depending. A lot of these schools now, River Falls, for example, plays all their matches outside, so if they're snowing, they probably won't be playing. So we joke with Coach Winnicky and Coach Miller about how they're always looking at at the Weather Channel or whatever on their computers. Coach Halberg's joined that fray now and spends more time watching the weather report than he does the sportscast on the 10 o'clock news.
Well, Donnie, Katie Gannon may be afraid of bald heads, but I know someone else who is not. That's Shawn McMahon. He's our track and field coach, and we'll have Shawn to talk about the outdoor season here on the Cardinals Nest next on HBC Channel 25.
Hey, I'm Buddha, inviting you to join me for a brand new show here on HBC TV 25 called Real Attractions. We'll show you trailers from the latest movies to hit theaters and also what's being released on DVD that week. Plus, you have a chance to win free movies by registering at my.hbci.com/Real Attractions. But you gotta watch to win. So check out Real Attractions here on HBC TV 25, hosted by yours truly, which is why we didn't call it Real Attractive.
I think we're back in business.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donny Nadeau, joined by Shawn McMahon, the track and field coach for St. Mary's. The outdoor season has started, but Shawn, before we get to that, when last we talked to you, you were getting prepared for the MIAC Indoor Championship, so maybe recap how that went for both the women and men.
Yeah, well, and just to avoid the question at the end, too, the difference between the indoor and the outdoor track and field seasons are the indoor was inside. So inside at the conference championships, Andrew Brigham, as I guess was mentioned earlier, had a great meet, set a conference record, while he, of course, set our own school record and won the event. Actually, he became the performance of the field performance of the meet too, which is a really, really, really high honor considering the depth and talent that we have in the MIAC, especially across all of those events, men and women. But yeah, certainly had a great day and kind of did what he expected to do. I think on the men's side too, we had John Kelly tie his own 55-meter school record. Did not place as high this year with the same time that he ran a year ago, but was still right up near the top. And then on the women's side, Brittany Keene had a really, really strong meet. She was healthy at the right time, which has been, kind of her, I guess, maybe biggest disappointment is just not being healthy at the right time. We finally got her in the right place.
And obviously you start out the outdoor season and, most of your athletes have picked up right where they left off. And, as we always say, you're not going to be able to talk St. Mary's track and field without talking about Andrew. And Andrew has just been phenomenal in really two meets. Talk a little bit about what he did at the Norris Relays, because not only did he break the school record, not only did he automatic qualify for the Nationals, but he also broke the Norris Relays record in the hammer throw.
As well as their facility record, which, they host a lot of meets down there. They've had meets down there for a lot of years. In fact, I can remember being there as a collegiate athlete myself. So,
as well as a few windows at the facility, perhaps. Yeah, could be on the hammer through them.
But, when I consider how far he threw the hammer last year, 56, 66, 56, 70, somewhere in that region, he, made a significant jump with his best mark to go to 60 meters. We're still in something of a training period, so I don't know if his best throw has been made. And I was just talking with Matt Higgins from the MIAC before we came down. He said, he just keeps getting better. And I said, well, I expect him to come back, because if he makes significant improvements each of the next, we're still 6 weeks from a conference meet and 8 from a national meet, the numbers would be big. So I'm not quite sure what to know to say about his throw next week. Could be
You know,
huge.
it's kind of deceiving too when you talk 60 meters. It may not seem like that much, but when you put that into feet, you're almost to 200 feet,
Yeah.
and that's. I mean, I watched Andrew warm up one time when he was still throwing the weight inside, and it's the same kind of thing. You're thinking about these distances in meters; they don't seem like they're very far, but you know, it was 199 feet. when he throws
199.
that.
Yeah, it wasn't 200 feet. I made sure I told him that too. But,
Now, this is going to be a question from someone who obviously is not a thrower, but difference between the indoor-outdoor throw, the hammer versus the weight.
well, the indoor implement is a 35-pound weight. It's just a really almost a tungsten or sand ball. The radius on it is much shorter though. So the nature of that event is usually bigger people that have a little bit more weight to keep them centered, maybe a little lower. That implement tends to pull you, where you just kind of put it in motion and throw it, where the hammer is really dictated more by the athlete, and they generate the speed. It's very similar mechanically, but when you get into the competition, it's very, very different, and I think from a standpoint of rhythm. The radius out there, that steel ball coming around, and as I was about to say about Andrew, when you talk about distance, that's one thing, but to watch him throw, the speed is so much different than the people that he's competing more, and to see him throw 60 meters, somebody else throw 40 meters is still a pretty good hammer throw, but the speed when you watch them, I guess the eyeball test as they call it, he passes it.
You know, and obviously he's not the only thrower you've got that's doing very well early in the season. Coco Booker won the shot put, and then Sarah Harstead, who just missed automatically qualifying for the hammer last year, won the hammer on the women's side. Talk about those two a
Sure
little
did. I'm really pumped about Harstead. She picked up at a spot early this year that she didn't pick up on right away last year. I mean, she qualified, or at least posted her qualifying mark last year in the hammer throw late. And she was, I guess, this far from qualifying right away off the bat the first week of April. Actually, first week of April when we sent them to Wartburg. So very pumped about her. The sky's the limit. I think she's really healthy now. And, I guess I'd say the same thing for Coco. She's her own worst enemy sometimes when it comes to injuries. And she gets a little bit down because it's tough because she's gutting through a lot of these injuries and still throwing pretty well. I'm just hoping for that time when it all comes together for her, and it could be big for her. She's not too far off that national mark either.
Talk a little bit about, you've got a number of two-sport athletes, and some that come to mind right away for me are Sarah, and she plays volleyball and is an outstanding volleyball player. But the other one's Ryan Wackenfuss, a basketball player who was all-conference in the javelin last year. Talk a little bit about Ryan, and is there a big adjustment for him because he plays basketball all winter, doesn't really get to train a whole lot for the javelin, and then to step out in the outdoor season and really do very well?
I think it's a tough thing maybe to transition into, but not when you're an athlete like Sarah or Ryan, or even Sabrina Larson is also. I know that Ryan, through the basketball season, maybe altered some of the things he was doing in the weight room just so he was better prepared. But that basketball season, when you're an athlete and you're competitive and you're putting the uniform on and you're getting into that mindset, that's almost as valuable as the volume that maybe we're doing as a track team while they're playing basketball. So there's something about competing that you can't really replicate. And those kids get it, and I don't think that Sarah would be the volleyball player she is without track, and vice versa. They complement each other, and maybe not even complement each other so much as they enforce the other one.
And I don't think there's too many competitors like Ryan. Ryan is quite a competitor,
Yes, he
both
is.
on the court and when he's throwing the javelin.
Yeah, well, look at the leadership that I get from the two-sport athletes, and it's almost uncanny that if you are committed to that kind of schedule, that kind of calendar, and you're dedicated enough, it sort of goes along with the beast, the nature of the beast, and those are really strong leaders.
Let's look at some of your runners on the women's and men's side. I know Rebecca Eiton does the pole vault, and she's a runner as well. On the women's side, Robbie McGuire is back again. Talk about some of them.
Yeah, Becca's a pole vaulter for us. She actually has our school record indoors in the pole vault. And I like what I'm seeing from her. She's very, very diligent in her preparation. I've got a really, really good vault coach who's in his first year, Todd Davis. He actually makes his trip from Rochester a couple days a week to try and get back up over that bar. And I guess Robbie McGuire, again, he's our long mile guy, and if you drive around Winona and you don't know Robbie, you've seen him. He's on the road all the time. But we don't know his race. primary race is the 10K, and of course, with it being so long, you have to pick your spot. You wouldn't do the 10K every week. I'm not sure what we've got in mind for Robbie. I've talked to Brett Ayers, who is our distance coach, and I think we're going to shoot for late April for maybe a really good one, and maybe try and get a time, at least get him around the track for one early here.
Shawn, just 30 seconds left. Speaking of late April, that's when you have your home meet. Tell us about that on April 31st.
April 30th. Yep,
sorry.
Saturday. Yeah. I'm always excited. It's a lot of work, but it's it's very gratifying to at least get my kids to compete at home in front of their family and their friends and things like that. I think we've got 7 teams coming: UW La Crosse, River Falls, UW Stout, UW Eau Claire, Luther College. I guess we might even get UW Superior's, College of St. Scholastica, and I'm hoping for maybe even a couple more teams. But
really, it's a great invite with some very good teams.
It's a very good team. We compete a little bit against the Drake Relays, but it's not really so much competition as it is giving opportunities to kids who wouldn't make the trip down to Drake for the maybe the real high end. But we're going to fill all those field events, and the track will be full. It should be fun.
All right, it's April 30th up at St. Mary's. Shawn McMahon, thanks for joining us here
guys.
on the show. All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be back to wrap things up here on the Cardinals Nest right after this on HBC.
Brace yourself for another smoking hot season of Californication, followed by the outrageously funny new comedy series, Episodes.
How you doing, eh?
Good one.
And you won't want to miss the wildly unapologetic new series, Shameless.
We may not have much, but we know how to party.
Sunday night belongs to Showtime.
Want to see it?
Call now to order.
Showtime.
Experience HDNet.
Television is no place to hide.
Your home for MMA.
We've just made the fight of the year.
Uncompromising Emmy Award-winning news.
We're told that if we got out of the car, that the police would stop us from filming.
The world's greatest concerts every Sunday. And Guys Night In.
I recommend this party. Best time of my life.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street in Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And we are back to wrap things up here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25. And last week we mentioned the outstanding female and male seniors. This week we have a picture, and what a nice picture it is there of Hillary, Ethan, and Sean Old. They were named at last week's Founders Day ceremony as this year's outstanding female and male seniors at St. Mary's. So congratulations to them, both athletes as well at one time or another at St. Mary's. Sean played on the baseball team and Hillary on the tennis team. All right, also the St. Mary's University senior art students are presenting their work in an upcoming exhibit. It's called Through the Lashes, and it's going on now through Saturday, May 14th at the Lillian Davis Hogan Gallery. So you can stop by there in Toner Center, take a walk through the art gallery, and take a look at all of the senior projects. And finally, St. Mary's invites the public to a free presentation by Jake Leinenkugel. He's the president of the Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company. That'll be at 5 p.m. on Thursday, April 28th in Page Theater.
No samples?
No samples, I don't think. That's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest this week here on HBC. Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week for another Cardinals Nest on Channel 25.